And it goes a little something like.
What's going on, everybody? This is Matthew,
And this is Camille.
and welcome to Ballrooms and Bachelors. This is our 4th episode.
Woohoo! I know.
Yes.
I can't believe it's already
I know,
episode 4.
it's crazy to me.
Back to our more regular format.
Yes,
on Zoom today. But so yes, I know Matthew was doing our introduction, and I'm going to kick us off to get started with our topics. I know I'm sure a lot of people are excited to hear about a recap of the rest of the dance competition, because there were a lot of events that happened after we did our Instagram live on Friday night,
right.
and the last recording of the episode. So after we had the Instagram live, we went to go watch the pros compete, and I think it was a combination of, on Friday night, I think it was just mostly Latin.
It was mostly Latin. There was like a few rhythm dancers, and then I think there was like 4 or 5 rhythm dancers, maybe 6, and then there were 2 like smooth standard dancers.
Yeah, and I think even just between like Friday and Saturday, they had some of the different events. I know Saturday they still had more. They had some of the younger kids that are pro Latin. I'm still figuring out exactly how the levels are. Maybe it's like amateur. I think I have to figure it out. I just don't want to sound like I'm demeaning any of them. These are actual terms that like determine the levels of dancing, and maybe we need to do a little more research. I don't know, we'll see. But no, I mean they were all amazing. Friday and Saturday, it was just like amazing. I think I think like especially Friday night, just seeing like the pro Latin people, I was just like, this is what I should look like when I dance. But it's inspirational and scary all at the same time. So Friday and Saturday night, I thought that was pretty cool. The
awesome.
pro dancers, and then Saturday I competed, and I did Latin. I got up for my hair and makeup appointments were at 6 and 6:30 a.m. My first heat was like 8:35 a.m. and then I was competing all day, and I think my last heat was like around 5:30 p.m. So I did have some more breaks, like maybe I had like 1 hour break and then 1 2-hour break, and I think I had another hour break at another point. So I had a lot more breaks than I typically do, just because I think they interspersed it with some younger kids that were competing in the like this pro-am circuit. They had like a section where they all did standard dances, and then that way those those kids were only had to come for the one day, since they might compete like standard with Latin. And then they were like kind of in some of the afternoon heats as well, so it kind of extended the day. But I was pretty happy with how I did. Matthew was there supporting.
You were awesome. It was so great to see you. It was so cool to see all my friends and everybody compete and stuff. It was just so much fun, and it was so awesome to be able to cheer on everybody and stuff like that. So I thought you did great.
Thank you. Was that the first time you had ever seen the Latin compete?
Latin compete
at a competition?
A big competition. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think.
Because I know you went to the one back in March, but I don't know if you watched any of like the Latin compete. I didn't compete Latin in March. That was the other reason.
In March, I think I just went Saturday, Sunday. So I don't think I saw. Oh wait, no, because Socials was on Saturday, the day that I did team match. So no, that wasn't the only day I think I could have seen people do Latin. Was obviously a mini match, but that wasn't a big competition. And then the first competition I went to was December in the Parsippany one.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first one I went to, but I only went one day. It was the gala day, and so I don't remember if that was Latin. I might have gone that day. I mean, it might have been that day, but I don't specifically remember because it was quite a while ago. But that it was either my first time seeing Latin all day, like in a big competition, or second. It was either one of the two.
If anything, it was probably like your first time seeing as many of us, because I think I'm trying to think from our studio, we had 3 of us competing Latin. I'm not forgetting anybody, right? Yeah, we had, I think there were 3 of us. There were like 3 of us competing Latin. I mean, there were some people from like some of the other studios that we know that like also dance with our instructors that also come to our studio. So it's kind of like, it was like our group and then the extended group of like their students as well. But it was the first time I competed with Yuri as my instructor, since my other instructor had left the studio at the end of last year. So I think it was just a different experience. It's getting used to like dancing with a new instructor. I think for me, I just know that after this competition, like we're planning to change my routines now, because what we had done was, since my other instructor had left and I had all closed gold choreography for Latin, we just kept it the same. And then, we just focused on the past like 6 months or so, just really working on learning. He learned the old choreography. We made some modifications. And then of course, like everybody's going to dance it a little differently. So we just kind of focused on getting that ready so I could compete. And then just working on some of the different, performance quality things that I wanted to work on. And I think I did push myself to do that on Saturday. So I was happy with how I did. And then now I think I'm definitely trying to get better with the technique for Latin, just because it's so difficult. And as you get to the higher levels, like I want it to be more just like muscle memory, that I don't have to feel like I'm still like thinking of every little aspect of it. And it's just more, ingrained in my muscles. So
Right.
I know for me moving forward, I'm probably not competing Latin for a while, or maybe not even standard for a while. Just because even for standard, I'm getting some new choreographies. So it's going to be a while for me. So, you're up next on the actual dance competition circuit. And, so if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then we can finish recapping more of the stuff from the other day.
Okay, yeah. So like I had mentioned in the past episodes, like second or third episode, that my instructor Elena and I are going to be competing at it's the same AODC competition that we went to this past week, but it's going to be in Texas. And I'm really excited because I had seen the Texas competition like on social media and everything last year. And I was like, oh, I definitely want to do this next year because it'd be so awesome. Excuse me, to go travel for a competition, and also because my grandparents live in Texas, so I wanted them to come see me and see me in person and dance and stuff like that. So that's really exciting. And the cool thing is that like what you were talking about with your new choreography, or you're gonna get new choreography. My instructor Elena and I, we made all new choreography for all 3 dances that I have now. And then we're adding jive when she's on vacation. We're gonna get into this anyway, but she's on vacation right now. So when she gets back, we're going to add jive, which I'm really excited about. It's funny because a lot of my friends and our friends at the studio have been like, oh my gosh, good luck. But then you've told me, oh, you like jive, so you're gonna have fun. So I'm really excited to add jive. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So like you said, we've been really just working on the new routines because they're pretty intricate, and Latin, like you were saying again, Latin choreography and routines are so detailed. And I just want to make it so it's just like muscle memory, like you were saying as well, because I don't really like to think about it too much while I'm doing it, just because I want to be enjoying myself and just having fun. Like we were talking about the competitions, that's kind of what you want to do when you get to that point. So all throughout the last part of the year, we're going to just be really working on my Latin, and then we're also going to be doing a showcase dance, which I'm really excited about because I've had the idea for it for also about a year at this point, since I knew I wanted to do the December competition. So, and my instructor is really good choreographer, especially with like performance aspects and making like a story and stuff like that. She's always been great at that. So I'm really excited to see with the story I have for her and with the song what she comes up with. I think that's going to be awesome. And I'm really excited. I know one of our other friends is going to be coming with us to Texas, so that would be awesome to have a few other people from Glenrock there. So yeah.
I remember who you mean.
I remember who that is. And then I think most of our instructors from between Glenrock and Fort Lee will probably be there as well, because they'll either be dancing with people from our studio or Fort Lee and just the surrounding studios and stuff like that. So it will be nice. So yeah, I'm really excited. I definitely have a lot of work to do. I was telling my instructor last night that starting in August, we're really going to be in the home stretch of ready for it, because I've said this to almost everybody at the studio that like we're almost in the 8th month of the year, and then now I'm going to have about 4 or 5 months to get ready for December, and it's like at the beginning of December, it's like second week, so
it's pretty quickly too.
It is. So that's what I'm saying, is that like we're almost 8 months into the year at this point, or almost done the 7th month. Then I have 5 months to get ready for this, or almost 5 months, but the first 7 have gone by so quickly already. So if there's like less months, it's just going to go by so quickly. But I've been really looking forward to this for the whole year, so I'm very excited, and I'm definitely going to make a lot of content for when I'm there and preparing for it and stuff. So I'm very excited. I don't talk about it too much, just because it's like I don't want to make myself nervous, but no.
I know. You're doing bronze, right?
I am doing bronze.
So generally the way the levels go, and you typically go bronze, silver, gold, and then you can do open gold. And even when you compete like in the heats and the single dances and stuff throughout the day, they kind of break it up into like beginner gold, advanced gold, whatever. And so like, even though I might be gold, I might compete some silver or bronze heats just because of, well, maybe not bronze, but they kind of stagger you a little bit above or below where you're at, just
Right.
So how they do it. And then I know they also go by age and whatnot, so you're even like when you're out on the dance floor, there's certain people you might not be in like the same official heat as them or the same like category as them, but yeah, so bronze is a good place to be.
Yeah, I would assume I'm doing bronze because I'm not really sure actually, but I am very certain, or pretty certain that I am, just because when I did mini match, which is my first competition, the first, like, I think 6 of the heats were like beginners bronze, I think was what they called it, and then the other 4 or 5 were like regular bronze. I feel like most of this will be regular bronze, and I'm actually going to be dancing way more because it's a way bigger competition. So I think I'm going to be dancing. I don't know how much it is, but I think my instructor and I were talking somewhere between the 28, 30 something range of dances. I don't know how to break up into like actual heats and scholarships and stuff like that. I'm sure when I'm close to signing up for it, it will make more sense. But that's just what we had talked about, because what I did at mini match was 15, and we're gonna like double that just because it's a bigger competition. And my instructor and our dance director said that like when you go to a big competition, you don't want to just be sitting around, so you want to like add as many heats as you can do. So I definitely going to be dancing like double, maybe even triple than what I did before. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like, because everybody's body kind of takes it in different ways and stuff. So I'm excited to see what like dancing an entire day rather than like 3 hours is going to be. So
yeah, I think the thing too is like, as you get to the higher levels, like you don't always need to do as many of the single dance rounds. Like I know back in September of last year, I did like that one competition where I did everything, and I did like 12 rounds of standard, 12 rounds of Latin, 10 rounds of social, and it was a lot. And part of me is just like, I probably am not going to do that many rounds at another point. And, just because I think it's also like, it all like financially it adds up too. But I think just it's I think it was more worth it to do a lot of the single dance rounds when I was a lower level, because it's like you get it out of, it's like, it's just practice, like you're practicing it, and like you do work on the technique. Like I mean, some of the things with even the performance stuff, like it's harder for me to do it in the studio sometimes, because it's like I don't feel like I'm performing, I'm like I am practicing and we are in like the studio. But like when you're in the dance environment of like the competition, at least I mean for the women, it's like we have our dress on, we have our makeup on, it's like everybody's there. And like for me, like having skated, I'm used to that like when I feel like I'm in more of a performance mode, it's easier for me to do those things. So if I were to just do it like 1 or 2 or 3 times, it's not really like solidifying that performance aspect as well. So it's also good to make sure that you're doing enough, like a lot of rounds at the beginning to try to like even just get the gist of like the competition. And like I'm fortunate, I'll still get nervous a little bit for the competitions and certain things, like of course, but I've also had like a lot of experience in performing and doing that. So like for me, I didn't need to shake it off as much. But it's like, especially when people are new to it, if they've never done anything like that before, it's really good to do a lot of rounds, because it's like inevitably you're gonna mess up at some point throughout the day. So it's like, sometimes it's just like, it's good to just know you have a lot of like single dance rounds to just kind of like throw out, like, okay, whatever, if I make a mistake and this and that and the other thing, and then because it's supposed to like try to help you get it out of your system for like later in the day. But everybody's different. It's but you'll be good. I mean I'm not going to Texas, but I am excited for you to do this, because I know you've really been looking forward to this, like literally from like last year, like the end of last year into the beginning of this year. You're like, I'm gonna do the Texas competition next year, and I was like you knew exactly what you wanted to do.
I had that dream in my head for about a year, so I've been really dedicated to it. It's cool, and like I agree with you what you're saying about, especially in the beginner kind of, or even intermediate levels of like, you want to do as many as you can. And especially for me, is because like I was talking about my new routines. I absolutely love my new routines. But they're very, very detailed. And that's something that I've been working on with my instructor for like the beginning of the year and in the summer. And I know we're going to really continue to work on in the fall. But I think having the opportunity to like get your bearings under you and stuff like that, especially with a big competition, because this is going to be my first time competing all day at a huge competition. Because like I said, the only 2 competitions I did before were mini match, where it was like 2 of us in the studio and nobody else, no really crowd, because it was still kind of pandemic time, so everything was still kind of virtual. Then team match, it was just like everybody from our studio and the surrounding studios just kind of watching each other. It wasn't really like a huge crowd. And
Yeah.
then it was just 2 dances. So this is really going to be my first time dancing all day with like a lot of spectators and in a huge room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like just doing so many routines in one sitting. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to be like. And I'm glad I'll have opportunities to like get my nerves under control and stuff like that, because I've learned a lot of things and I've progressed in so many ways since March when I did team match, to where I think I can handle the nerves a little bit better, because I know the first 2 competitions I did, and I'm assuming, and maybe you felt the same way your first few competitions, where like the nerves definitely did impact my dancing, and
Yeah.
something that I noticed looking back at the videos from both those competitions. So I'm glad that like I've been able to like work on my nerves and my comfortability and confidence with dancing, that I'm excited to actually put that into action when I'm competing at a bigger competition. So I think that will be
yeah. I mean, I think I've had a lot of years like with the skating. I think I had a lot of years
right. Yeah.
training it, but still like it's, sometimes you just have like a little bit of an off day or an off moment. So like I get it. I get it. It's like nobody's 100% all the time. So
That's
I think
it's a great reason why you can do more than one dance.
yeah. I mean, with skating, it's kind of like you have one shot. So I think I was just always used to this. This is also kind of like, all right, you have all day.
Right.
I mean, you obviously want to do your best as many times, but yeah, they judge a little differently with that. But so I think the only other thing, the weekend of the competition, so Sunday we didn't watch the standard during the day, like the standard competition during the day.
Like an hour, but it was like it was at the end. It was hard for me to say that I watched the whole day, because I didn't. I think standard ended like at 4. I watched from like 2:45 to 4, so it was like an hour and 15 that I watched. So I still got to see a little bit of it, just because obviously I'm wanting to like learn that style of dancing sometime in the near future, or not too distant future. So I wanted to kind of see what competing with it in that style was like, and obviously I just like watching that style too, so it was awesome. But yeah, I didn't watch most of it.
It's more like the traditional ballroom.
Ballroom.
I forgot if I explained it in the last time, but it's like you're doing waltz, tango, foxtrot, Viennese waltz, and quick step. That's not the exact order that you do the dances, but those are the 5 dances. And the thing is that like the partner, like the woman like stays in the hold, like, and the man too. You stay in the hold. You're not like doing all these extra arm movements. That's the American smooth style. So standard is just like the very like traditional, what you'll see as like the old school caricatures of people doing ballroom dancing is like they're just like in this position in the frame. So I had gotten into it more because my older instructor had mentioned like, oh, you should do standard because it will help you with your frame for paso doble. And then I think at the time, like they were trying to just make sure that the students in the studio had like there was a good balance of like the instructors having students in each of the different categories. So they're like, oh yeah, so Camille, you should do standard. And that's kind of why I did it. But I think what I like about it too is it just focuses a lot on that, because I had done ballet before, so I can do a lot of the arm motions and all of that, but I'd rather focus on just like the technique and like the frame and all of that, because if I were to ever switch to smooth at some point, it's like I would have the basic position and frame and everything under like under control, and then you just add the extra stuff. I didn't know, I mean, were you definitely planning to do standard versus smooth, or were you still on the fence?
And I didn't know the difference until a few months ago, and then I like saw, oh, smooth is like you're in the hold the whole time and frame the whole time, and then you can actually add some more like arm stylings and different turns and stuff like that for American smooth. And then I thought about it actually watching it over the weekend, and I was like, I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do first, but I would like to do both. But if I was going to choose one first, I think it would be awesome to do standard first, just because you can have the basic fundamentals of being in hold the whole time and then frame and working on your frame and in doing the steps in frame. And then later when I would want to add smooth. So I'm glad you asked that, because that's actually something I was thinking about over the weekend. I was like, you know what? I think it'd be good to start with standard, because you can have those basic steps and working on your frame first before you add any of the styling stuff in smooth. So that's what I'm hoping and thinking I'll do with doing both those styles, is probably start with standard first.
Yeah, so we're on the same wavelength with that. And then Sunday night they had the showcase gala.
Right, yeah. We performed, which was awesome.
It was really awesome. Yeah, we got to see some of our friends from the studio perform. Justin, who we had on the podcast last week, he also performed a showcase, and there was like one of the other local studios did like a group dance, and then
that was awesome.
Yeah, so I think Yeah, it was real. It's cool just because it's like it's not always so tailored to like the actual style.
Mhm.
And I think that was actually what I was going to say. So, because since you danced with Elena, so
Right.
Elena did actually choreograph a showcase. I did, because you were saying how she's an amazing choreographer. So,
Yeah.
there were myself, another student from our studio, and Elena danced. What did we dance to? Oh my goodness, Ain't No Other Man by Christina Aguilera. We did a hip hop, and Elena choreographed it. And it was great. I don't think I have still not posted it on my YouTube account. I think that was one that I just kind of like totally forgot to post the full thing of, so I have to go do that at some point soon. But yeah, Elena did a great job choreographing that, and then I did a showcase with her back in April. She
Yeah.
didn't choreograph that one per se. We had one of the other instructors from another studio choreograph it. And she helped. We like, her and I cleaned up some different things that just like in practicing it, we're like, let's change this around a little bit and do that. So she definitely helped with that, and she's great. And I already told her whatever showcase I do next, I want to do something more like contemporary, and
Right.
I want her to choreograph it, and all the details I don't know yet. I don't know when I'm doing it. I don't know the song. I have ideas, but but I told
Well, I
her
know you're going to be in good hands because she's a great contemporary
she's
dancer as
amazing.
well. So, but and that was a cool thing about going to the showcase galas, because obviously seeing all of our friends do showcases as well. But obviously, I haven't done a showcase in front of that many people. I did a showcase kind of just for our studio back in December because I had asked Lane if we could do a Christmas dance in front of everybody. So that was like, I was still like 3 months in as a dancer, so I was still like very, very, very beginner at that point. But I've grown so much so when I'm actually so I feel way more comfortable performing in front of people now, that I'm really excited. It was awesome to see what the showcase gala is like, because that's what we're going to be doing. The showcase dance at is that event when we're in Texas. So it was cool to see kind of like what that entailed and what the experiences was for other people. So I kind of have an idea of like, oh, this is kind of what it's going to be like when we do our showcase in December. And yeah, I'm really excited to do our see what she comes up with for our showcase dance, just because the song is a little not, and that's the cool thing, like you said, it doesn't really matter like the style per se with the showcase, because the song I chose and the story I want to tell is like not really ballroom traditional, really, like not a lot of ballroom dancers dance to this style of music or this kind of song. And then she also said that we're probably going to implement a few like fusion elements into it, so like do multiple dances in the dance, or dance styles in the dance. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what that entails. I think we're going to probably start working on it in like a month and a half or so that should be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, I'm excited to see that too. I love the showcase performances.
There was one thing that I was going to mention. It was at the showcase, but it wasn't like a part of the showcase. But it's pretty exciting news that our studio did place third place out of all the studios in our
I was thinking about it a minute
Oh, you
ago.
were
reading my mind.
You know what, we very much think alike, I know. But it was so awesome because like I wasn't expecting it in Elena, because she's the manager of our studio as well, that she said she wasn't expecting it, because out of all the locations, like I would probably say the city and the Texas studios are probably the biggest, I would say. So like obviously I think the two city locations, I think it was one Texas one, I think like South Lake or Fort Worth got second, I think, maybe, and then like
I think it was Fort
Worth, yeah, and then Midtown or Soho got first. I forgot which one. If I had to guess, probably Soho, but I could be wrong.
I think it was Soho.
Yeah, me too. I think it was, but
I'm trying to remember who was standing there for the photo. I'm like, who was there? But I'm like, wait, which studio were that? Yeah, we did get top third studio at an event back in 2019, but I think it was also like, I don't know. I think I just kind of that we were like really, really hoping for it. And this one, I don't even think any of us, we were just like, oh, we didn't expect it because this was such a big competition.
Yeah, we were just standing there when they announced it, and we were like, oh, wait, okay.
Like, oh, wow. Yeah, I think we had a lot of participation, even though we didn't have too many students competing. I think there were 8 of us that competed, and pretty much, it was either people were doing just a showcase, or they did, I think we had people in social. We had people like every day. Yeah, we had people every day. We had people for social, rhythm, smooth, Latin, and standard. We had at least one person in each group. I think we had the most for Latin.
Yeah, and everybody won stuff, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was good. So I was like, see, that's why. And then we had like 3 showcases from our studio, so that's why. And this is why.
This is
why. That was exciting.
It does make a difference, but it was awesome. It was really cool to be recognized, and we had a party last night, and then Elena
Yes.
gave a speech about like how it really meant a lot to be recognized by our dance studio and even just AODC as a whole, because as our dance studio is like 14, it's 14 locations, right? I always confuse if it's 14
It's about that.
It's
I
about
could be
14 or
off by
15.
one
I
or
get
two,
a
but
lot-
it's
yeah.
roughly, yeah.
It's roughly 14 or 15. I
Yeah.
get the exact number mixed up, but she was saying that like just to be recognized on that level from being
Mhm.
one of the smaller studios in the 14 and 15 was definitely a big deal, and so we were definitely excited about it for sure. It was funny because some of our studios, yeah, I know, it's awesome, but some of our instructors that come in like part-time to our studio also with other studios, so they like went up with multiple like studios.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny to see. So they were getting awards from different studios because they teach it multiple.
Yeah, no, I'm glad though. It's like we have
We do have an amazing studio for sure.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, I think we talked a lot about dance today.
We did.
which
You
is
know
which
what?
is different.
We had a lot to talk about because we did.
Yeah, we had a lot to talk about. So yeah, so I think that was the biggest recap on the competition. You know, we had the, like Matthew said, we had a party last night just locally in the studio. So that was pretty much all we've had for dance like this week so far, and now I'm just like back to the drawing board. I haven't had my lesson with Yuri yet this week to go over stuff from the competition. But yeah, we have some more people coming for coachings throughout this month, so they'll do like the master classes, and then I have some coaching lessons with them with my instructors too. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then Matthew will keep updating us on his preps, like preparation. I can't talk for
exactly
for December. So yeah.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Okay. All right. On to the Bachelorettes.
Yes, exactly. Let's do it.
Okay, so what did you think about this week's episode?
Oh boy. There was a lot. As probably everybody who's watched it knows, it was a lot. And like I don't know why we put ourselves through this franchise sometimes, but like mentally, but it was crazy. So yeah, it was interesting because coming through from last week, there was a lot of different things, kind of like the like cliffhangers and stuff that people were wanting to see, and different unknowns that people wanted to see and stuff like that. And so the episode had just kind of ended or started with obviously there's 21 guys left, which is still quite a bit for week 3. And then it had just talked about there was these again, which is kind of like we expect like 3 or 4 an episode with the girls talking with each other. And this time at the beginning they were talking about how they thought that people should know at this point who they were going for, and I agreed to that. I agree about that pretty much. I just think that like it's a very uncomfortable situation because I saw like at the end of the episode or like a little bit of the middle of the episode where they were like, oh my gosh, this is like so like they're almost like kind of like blaming the guys for like not knowing or like making it their fault. And it's like I understand what they mean, but I also the guys are in a hard situation too. It's like what are they supposed to do? Not tell them who they're interested in, just be quiet about it. Like you're supposed to tell them. So I just that's why I was like a little about it.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that too. I'll talk about it after we go through all the topics, but yeah, we'll come back to that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I guess the first big thing is that Jesse had said that there was going to be 2 dates or 2 one-on-one dates and 1 group date, and the first one was Rachel's one-on-one with Zach. So I'll let you kick it off with what you thought of that, and then I can go into my thoughts for when you're done.
So I thought it was cool that they had Carmel Brown because he's awesome. So he actually used to be on Dancing with the Stars. He was on a season of Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And I follow him on social media too, and he's like
amazing.
He's amazing. He just like seems like just such like a happy, positive person. And I remember when he was on Dancing with the Stars, I loved watching him dance and like getting to see his journey with that too. So anyway, that's a side note. I thought the date, so it's really weird because like I wouldn't have necessarily been like Zach's the villain, but I feel like I think Ben, I don't know, and Ben and Ashley, I think he was like, I feel like Zach's gonna be a villain. And I feel like just the look, like originally, just when you look at the pictures, you don't hear anything else or see anything else. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. But like I was completely shocked by this date. I was like, no, he seems great. They seem great together. There was like I wasn't sure about him at first because like I don't know, those first few weeks, like you don't really know. And you see all the previews, and then I'm like reading into the previews of what's happening. But I thought it was a very interesting concept for a date. I mean the whole thing with Caramo, sorry. And then they had with the videos. I was just like, why do I feel like I'm gonna start crying? Like that's
I
not
know, me
me.
too, and I don't
Just
cry very
like,
much either. I know.
we don't even know if they're like getting married
Oh, I
or
know. I
whatever.
know.
But I do think they really connected well, and I
Too.
didn't expect it. I thought that whole story with I couldn't hear exactly what she said because like I spaced out for 1 second, but or he was saying about how he would go with his dad to like the airport and like watch the
Yeah.
planes and whatever, and then Rachel's like sitting there like, oh my god, I did the same thing, and I
Yeah.
was like, had it been her saying it and him being like me too, I might have been like, he's just making this up, but no,
Yeah.
because it was the other way. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So that was like a really cool thing I think that happened. So I thought it went well. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you
no,
think?
no, I did too. And the funny thing about that aspect is that my dad used to do that with me too. And I found out, I guess it's somewhat common, and I guess for people that like aviation and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah.
it was the same thing. Like my dad used to take us to airports and stuff like that. So like when we were watching the episode, we looked at each other like, "Hey, look at that!" And like people did that too. So that was cool. And it's so weird. I don't know. Like again, if it's just people's like perception from the beginning of the season, like his just his
Mhm.
picture or whatever. But like 85% of the comments I saw of his date were mixed, just kind of like reactions to it. They were like, I liked it, it was cute, but there's something off with him. I didn't feel that way, but
I didn't feel that way. But I feel like I think he looks like Chad from one of the previous seasons.
Yes.
Not exactly, but enough that I
Like,
think it's
yeah.
like triggering people to think this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I think that some of them have said like they've spoken to Chad like after the seasons and he's like, nice and all. So I'm like, I don't know.
And he was the first out of the limo too, so we knew he had to have some significance. I thought it was really funny that well, obviously with the whole how do you Karamo?
I think it's Karamo.
Again, I love him, but I just always forget how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
But with Karamo, they always have that, like, it seems they have that one-on-one date of the season every season, like the trying on stuff with the fashion designer, like guru person. They always seem to have that, which is it's fun to watch, but it's never like they use like emphasis of the one-on-one date. But I love the concept of the movie premiere. I thought that was funny, or it was funny because I was expecting it to be like a movie premiere with like a lot of people there, but then it was obviously just them and the home film stuff, and that was really cute. I thought, and like you said, I don't get emotional very often unless it's for a good reason. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, this is emotional for me. I'm like, man, that's crazy. But I thought it was really funny. There's one little side note that when they were walking, then they had like the paparazzi and stuff. I thought that was funny.
It's like they got us right at the beginning of the episode. What are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing? I know. And so yeah, the home film was cool. And I thought that the reaction that Rachel had when his stuff came up was like she was really kind of consoling him and was there for him, which seemed like they have a good connection. So I really like that. I thought it was a great date. Nothing really to complain about much. I liked everything that the day had to offer. Oh gosh.
But what was going on back at the house?
Yep, that's right. My next
you
thing.
Go.
Oh my gosh. Boy, this had to be like really, I don't know. I hate to use the excuse of like production influence, but it's just a lot of times they're like, oh, like Gabby, go to the house and like we're gonna have like some, but they didn't really explain what it was gonna be like, because it seemed like, and I thought this was so strange with this whole thing. If people don't know, Gabby showed up to the house while Rachel and Zach were on their one-on-one, and she was like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out with them just because I just want to hang out with them and to try to get to know them better. But it was interesting because they never really specified what it was. Is this like a little party or like group date they're trying to do? She just showed up, and then the guys were like, oh, okay, like what are we supposed to do? So like, and then she got mad that they weren't really pursuing her, and I thought that was the theme of this episode. And then I obviously they probably left it, they probably edited it this way. I'm assuming they did edit this way, but she left like really quickly, so probably she was there probably longer than what they showed. Like, which makes sense. But it was just funny. It was like she went there, she like played like 2 tosses of whatever like football thing that they were doing, and then she's like, okay, I'm out. And
I think this has happened some of the past few seasons, that it's like sometimes the guys just form such a bond that it's like the girls there and they're like, oh, okay, like, and they're just like being like bros, and then they're like not. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really like I'd have to witness it, because I feel like there's certain times where it's just like, are they like actively not trying to make any effort to talk to her, or are they trying to be respectful of each other? I mean, I trust her judgment. However, she did make a very her line was like that a lack of effort is a decision at this point. It's like it just shows that you're not ready. And I do 100% believe that, because I'm like, if some of the guys just seem like they're just perfectly content not talking to her or making any effort to like connect with her and get to know her, because I think why it rubs them the wrong way, the women, when this happens, is because it's just like, I don't think Gabby's literally expecting them to be like falling all over her. I don't think that's it, especially, you know, and even with Rachel, had it been her, I don't think that's what they're expecting. I think it's just like, you know, they're there for you and they're saying they're there for you, so they need to show that they're there for you. And like, for them to not seem like they're there for you, they're there just to hang out with the other guys. Yeah. Like, and that seems to be taking priority over getting to know you. That's a problem. 100% that's a problem. And I think that's, you know, I think that was like, if that's her read on certain people, and like, you don't know like what happened, what transpired, like what conversations, because they just don't even have enough time to air all of it, that it's like, you know, I just feel bad that she felt upset about it. But like, you know, I'm sure she had connections, like good connections with the guys, like then too, at least some of them. It's just like, it's just frustrating when it's like, you know, you're trying to just be in this process of getting to know them and then they're not really being forthcoming. So I don't know. But again, yeah, that was the theme of the whole episode, so we'll keep going with that theme. But,
I thought it was interesting that, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, fortunately her one-on-one seemed to go better, but
it did. Yeah. I was just gonna say that I thought it was interesting that like when you were talking about how like, oh, guys just want to hang out and be bros, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if like that's in past seasons has been reasons, guys and girls, for Bachelor Bachelorette, where like they sign up for the show for that very reason. So I could see why people would be skeptical of it. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go have a good time. I don't really have no intention of getting but then maybe they like get to like them or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a motive sometimes.
There's got to be a balance. I mean, like listen, I love seeing when some of them become friends afterwards. Clearly, I talked about it at the end of the last episode, but like, listen, like, I mean, and the guys that were from Katie's season, like, they weren't not talking to her, like when they had extra time with her, they just formed a friendship, and like they knew when was the time for bro time and when was the time to be like pursuing her and talking to her, and then of course like respecting when somebody else got their time. But I don't know, I think it's different. It's definitely like a person by person thing. Like I'd have to witness it to see, to judge like, okay, this one's like, this one's this way, this one's this way, this one's this way, like this is what's happening. But it's like they just showed such a quick clip that you're just like, I mean, they're obviously gonna show it to edit it, make it look like, oh, bro time, like
and then like Gabby's kind of the odd person out at that point. That's how they're gonna edit it. It
doesn't feel good, like that won't that would not feel good. But like, I, you know, at least her one-on-one seemed to go better.
It did. I thought it was great. And not really surprised that it was Eric, because again, they've seemed like they've had a good connection. We had an appearance by, as Gabby called him, America's grandpa John came back, which
he's amazing.
He's amazing. He's the best. Like, I just love how he does not give any crap about anything. He just like says whatever he wants, and he just like is all for saying anything, which is awesome. It was interesting about how this date started off with the like sound room thing. Like, I've seen them do that on the one-on-one dates with this thing. It's like really awkward to watch, just because like everybody's just like sitting there like, it's just like so unnatural to watch people do that. But I'm like, okay.
I do those things. Like, okay, so I will say I have not liked sometimes when I feel like they go on these dates and they edit the episodes and they make the person, like it's the practitioner of whatever they're doing, look like they're psycho. Exactly. And it also bothers me because like Gabby flat out was like she likes doing these things. She's like, I need this. Like she wanted to do it. This was probably partially her idea. I felt like they at least didn't make that woman look as psycho as they've made other practitioners of these things in the past. And I found it even worse when they're like clearly going, like when they're overseas and they're doing something with like some like indigenous tribe, and then they make them seem like a psycho. That always drives me bonkers. This is like
I agree.
Bone to pick with this.
I know. I thought it was so funny that like, and like you were saying with like they trying to make a lot of times like the lead of this whole date like look crazy. A lot of times I've noticed, and I noticed it a little bit, like 5 seconds of this date where they try to make the person on the date, not the lead, but the person on the date with them, like look like they're not interested in it. And it's like, really funny because like, again, they probably just edited it that way to make it seem like that. But like they had this one shot of Eric and he's just like, And it looks just
Yeah.
so funny. It looked like he was not having it.
To
And
be
I was
perfectly honest, I don't even remember seeing that because I was mostly just watching her grandfather go through this whole process.
right. That was so
I
funny. I
was
just
just
love
like,
how Grandpa, you can wake up now. And
yeah, he like enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
enjoyed
So
it.
I'm
He was
like,
like, you know what? I'm down to try new things. Let's do it. Yeah.
yeah, I think it, but even just like from a visual perspective, it's like very awkward to watch sometimes because I'm also like, this is like a private thing. So
Yeah.
I don't,
They've
but
done a lot of those dates, like if they've gone to like Europe or like Asia and then stuff like that. They have like traditions and stuff like they've done that in the past they've uh where they've uh where they've done those kind of dates. So it's not like
yeah,
it's not normal that they've done these dates before. It's pretty common now to see, but
this,
it's kind of interesting to watch.
this was also a little more like mellow and like
Right.
PG because sometimes they do very like
Oh,
sound bath and intention setting is a little different than some of the other things they've done.
right.
So
Yes.
I'm like, all right, this is, I would hope it's a little more accessible for the average person,
Yeah,
but either
yeah.
way. But then they had the bowling part,
That was
and
fun.
was that just a random woman?
Yeah, I was about to say, because like that was another thing where like they had like talked about, oh well, my grand like he's been married like 55 years, and then I was like, oh okay, well let's set him up with this like random woman now. Like I thought that was funny how they put that
Well,
together in the same thing.
I think if I remember, I think they had an interview with him on one of the podcasts. I think his wife had like her
Oh,
grandmother had
okay, that
passed a
makes
few
sense.
years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. I just didn't remember
But
that.
but yeah, that's why at one point she's like, maybe I'm coming home
Yeah.
with a new grandma.
They come home with the grandma. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. And they like showed clips of them like, oh, that's
Yeah.
like hanging out, having fun. Yes, that was cool. But yeah, I thought it makes sense. Yeah, but that was pretty cool to see.
Oh my gosh. And then I think the whole like the evening portion,
It was interesting.
I appreciated Gabby's honesty with the situation because I think it's
Right.
just like it's I think it wasn't like anything that Eric said or did. I think she just like, she just was having a moment. And I think that's
Right.
what she was honest, like of like, this is something that's hard for me. And I appreciated the fact that she was like honest about it because that is something clearly that's like affecting her right now because as we've seen throughout the episode, it's like feeling like some of these guys aren't picking her, which like, again, we'll get back to more of that later. But I think I thought it was good. Like overall, I felt like the date went well. So I was pretty happy with both of the one-on-one dates. I don't know.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah, again, it seems like the whole Gabby and her mom situation, it does affect her a lot. And obviously, most of us probably have never experienced that, so we can never really even guess.
Mhm.
And I can only imagine how badly it hurts.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't think it was anything that Eric said or did or whatever, because I remember they had that one thing where the producer asked if there's anything that he said that triggered it, and obviously like in that moment I was like, are they trying to like make it seem like he said something, but like he didn't know, so it was like obviously
Yeah.
any of that stuff had occurred. But obviously both one-on-one dates ended with roses being handed out, so that was good. Yeah, there was really no, besides maybe the little emotional stuff with Gabby and stuff like that, and it's understandable. I'm glad she was as honest as she was, and it seems like that's what kind of person she is. But actually, both women, they seem very like transparent, and that if anything that they're feeling, they want to share, they will, and that they really they can be vulnerable, which is it's good to see those qualities in them. So yeah, I really did like that. And yeah, besides that, it seemed like the dates went pretty well, and I enjoyed both of them.
Yes. And then on to the photo shoot group date.
Oh, geez. Another kind of a reoccurring group date every
It
season.
was funny because like I mean some of it was just like ridiculous, the pictures, but like I don't, sometimes there's always like someone that's like so dramatic about this and it's like a whole big fiasco. Like there didn't seem to be any of that. Everybody thought it was funny. They were like goofing off and getting along. Like
Yeah,
the guys didn't seem like they were like being super competitive with each other. There was nothing with that, which I liked. I really like Nate for Gabby, especially like from this date, and even for Rachel. Those are like two of the ones that I'm like, I like them. And then I'll think of the later. Oh wait, hold on. Did I just skip in my notes?
sometimes
Okay, comment on that part because then we'll get back to the part of the second part of the group date.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just gonna say I wrote down I wrote down like, because you were saying there was like a lot of interesting pictures with the photo shoots, so I like just wrote down, like the things that they like, some of the stuff they did. So obviously they had Jacob coming out in the leaf, which again like kind of like representing his, I guess, like opening night limo entrance, kind of like shirtless thing, whatever. And then they had like the Cowboys like dressed up as, some people dressed up as cowboys. They had the car wash. They had Rachel as like a pilot, which makes sense. Rachel and Jacob were Adam and Eve, which I thought was kind of funny and clever. And then that's all I had. I just thought that it was kind of clever that they switched up the like outfits and stuff like that. But the next thing I have is like the proposal part. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like, again, like I feel like they handled it well, and I don't think any of them were being like over like ridiculous with it, or like
Right.
I mean, like whatever. I mean, I don't know. That's why I was like, I thought it went fine. Like I thought it was mostly okay. So I don't know. The guys at least mostly seem to be getting along, so that's a good thing. You don't know if that's gonna change, but so
It
far,
is, yeah.
yeah. Then the Gabby's whole situation again.
Oh yeah.
So can I just say, hold on, I don't want to mess up his name. Give me a second. I just like blanked. Tyler. I should know this.
Oh right.
Yeah. Tyler, because he's from New Jersey. No, Tyler, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he worded it well with what he said to Gabby about with her versus like Rachel. And I think if I remember it correctly, I feel like he was basically talking more about how much he liked Rachel to Gabby, and just was like saying he wanted to like, you know, be honest with Gabby, and then that way like it was do right by Rachel. Because she never brought up his name as having irritated her about it, but he did say something, and I was like, good for him, because he worded it well. Who else was it? Hayden. I think with Hayden, I felt like the way he worded it just was triggering to Gabby because of the reasons that she discussed earlier. And he probably could have said it better, but like I think he also just didn't know how triggering it would be to Gabby. And then Jacob did not word it well. That is just that's just a no. And I mean, yeah, and then when they made their decisions of the people later on, like I think that definitely factored into why
exactly, yeah,
Hayden got picked over Jacob, because I think at that point they're like, you're not staying, you're not staying.
Right, yeah. I know, again, like,
yeah,
it kind of makes sense with like that they focused on that part of the evening portion of the day, because they went to the SoFi Stadium, the football stadium in LA, and that's kind of like the night portion, and they did that. And there was a few like cute one-off things where they like a few of them were talking, but again, it really focused on the whole Gabby situation. And again, it was really interesting because this is not the end. Again, the editors really know what they're doing, because it's like the fourth, fifth time in the last few weeks that they've done this, where like they edit something to where like they foreshadow another thing, because there was that editing thing or an editing check that they did where they did like a ITM with Rachel, and she was like, oh no, with Gabby. And she was like, oh, this is obviously really upsetting, and I wish I was having a little bit better luck with like connecting with people, but I would assume Rachel is having the same issue as me. And then they cut right to Tyler saying, oh, I'm here for you. And I was like, wow, you're doing Gabby like that. Like, wow.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see any of those three guys with her. Like, I didn't see Tyler, Hayden, or Jacob with Gabby. So I was like, okay. But I think what ended up happening, it was weird, because in the previews, like from prior weeks, you just kept seeing everybody not being interested in Rachel. And I was like, well, the beginning of the episode was all about Gabby. And then what basically happened was when they regrouped and then they were picking who they pick in the rose ceremony at the end, Gabby already knows three guys that aren't going to pick her. So she knows not to pick them. So more of the ones that were like kind of like in the iffy side went to Rachel. So that's why she got stuck with the ones that didn't express any interest to like specific to either one. But yeah, we can get more into that later, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if this is going to be kind of a topic of conversation going forward, because they've done this with both women the last 2 weeks. Rachel had the same thing when they were at that little group party after the group date or one-on-one or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they all went over to their house, and she was like, oh, I don't feel like anybody's talking to me. This is all not working the way it should be. And now it's Gabby this week. So I'm interested to see if it's going to continue.
I hope it wasn't really the production manipulating it like in the moment. I think this is just what happened. And then like, obviously the way they're airing it, it's like, and they're editing it and they created the drama. I mean, hopefully after this rose ceremony, like at the end of the episode, obviously we know there's going to be people that flip-flop, but after this, but I think at least for the most part, it should clear the air of like, these guys have said they're here for her, and these guys have said they're here for her, and that's it. I think as far as like the rose, like Rachel giving the rose to Avon made sense. I'm surprised that Gabby didn't give it to Nate.
Me neither. I'm so surprised about that, because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
He wanted her and he wants her. So yeah, it's crazy that she was like, well, if that was the whole point, that like she was upset that like nobody really was showing any interest in her, Nate was on that date. I would understand if he wasn't, and she was maybe like,
Yeah.
oh, no one I don't feel that I could give it to, but he was on the date where they have had a good connection. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm surprised about that.
Unless she just didn't want to feel like she only gave it to Nate because
Reason.
for that reason, and she had, and like, right, she had the one-on-one with him last week, right? That was
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, maybe she just wanted to, I don't know what her rationale was, but I mean, Rachel's face was like,
No, I know that
oh
was
my
so
gosh.
hilarious. That was so hilarious. She was like, and then there's like showed like an overhead shot of like all the guys and like everything was like all crazy. And then obviously she was like, well, I guess we can leave now. And then oh my god, it was crazy. And then Rachel and Gabby obviously had a little talk again, and she was like, oh, and again, I love this aspect of the show we were talking about before, is that when we were in our first episode, we were worried that they were gonna put them against each other, and it's so obvious that they're not doing that, which is great, because they're really like almost like sisters in a way, where they're like, you know what, like, she was like, do you want me to address something? And she said no, which I'm glad, because it probably would have been a mess if they did. But yeah, I'm glad that they have that kind of bond, and it's not anything like putting against each other, because I feel like it'd just create a whole another dramatic mess if they did. So I'm glad that that's kind of the relationship they have. But I agree, it was crazy.
And I can understand, like, so then, because then I'm calling it the Ultimatum Ceremony. That one.
Exactly.
So I'm surprised it was already here, but I think in some ways, in watching the whole episode, I do think it was the right time maybe to kind of have them pick. The only thing that I didn't like about what they did was, like, I know that they didn't want to have the cocktail party, but like, I think they should have had the cocktail party, because I just think it was not the greatest thing to just spring it on them and give them no chance to like talk it out, because it was like they didn't. Basically what happens is, like, these guys go to this rose ceremony and they're just waiting to be like, do they still want me here? Not like, do I have to make sure that, like, if Rachel gives me the rose or Gabby gives me the rose, like, I need to be all in, like. And I feel like if they at least announced that and had the cocktail party, then like they could have made it more of an effort to be like, I really need to decide right now at this point, like.
Me too, yeah.
And like at least give them more of an opportunity to have that conversation, just that night, just to see, because it's like, it's kind of hard to spring it on them like that. That was the only thing that I was like, I wish, even if it was like shorter, just like, I feel like they should have had it.
Me too.
Do I think, in hindsight, do I really think it would have done that much? Maybe not, but maybe they would have, at least at that point, maybe some more of them would have at least been like, look, I am more interested in so and so, like, even before the rose ceremony, so it spared them.
They could have avoided the whole thing where they rejected it.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't know. I mean, that was a whole. I'm like, have all my notes like grouped separately for this. I mean, I thought it was funny that after they got picked, the guys went to separate rooms, and they're like,
yeah, no, that was really funny. They were like, yeah, let's go, we're here. Yeah, that was funny.
And then the girls were like smiling as they picked the other guys. I think, I'm wondering how much thought process they really went into like pre-planning it together, because it was really interesting, because like, all right, when you look at them, like, there was a handful of them that you're like, Gabby's gonna pick these guys, and Rachel's gonna pick these guys, and then there were kind of like the ones that were like in between, that we just don't really know as much of their relationship with them. And then I'm thinking, did they kind of just like suss out like who they were gonna pick, of just be like, well, if they bail, like, okay, whatever. And then I think the way that once the guys started rejecting it, I do think that the way Jesse called it was fair, in the sense of like them going back to the group to see what happens, because it's like, just because you got a rose from Rachel, you don't want Rachel's rose, it doesn't mean Gabby's gonna give you a rose. So you're basically like opting to walk because you're not gonna say yes to Rachel. But that was fair.
And they seemed fine with that decision, so they was like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah. And I think in some ways, like, I think it sucks in the moment. Like, obviously that's really hard to be rejected, but to be perfectly honest, I think they're better off with just narrowing it down to the guys that are all in for them at this rate, or at least at this point are saying that they are, yeah, I don't know. So, all right, go ahead, just give your thoughts, and then, because then I figure we could just like go regroup on the guys that each of them picked, and then
I just saw exactly the rose ceremony. I agree with you that I'm interested to see how kind of like long they decided and planned that whole like format switch, I really don't know, but like it's interesting to see how they did it. And I thought again with the whole how Jesse handled it and like how that format applies to what he does and like you take away the roles and stuff. I agree, because it's like, why would you keep like the person that's not there for you, like to obviously go back and like see if Gabby or whoever, or Rachel, whoever the one didn't give you the rose, to give you that chance, but then you're also just accepting the risk that you can just walk. And that's, and again, they kind of seem fine with that. I wrote down the names of the people that left, but it's just 3 guys. Well, 4 when we get to the end. But it was who were the people that left? Tremaine, Jacob, Alec, which again, we thought Alec was going to be a big thing. We didn't hear much of him.
Like a villain.
A villain. There's actually haven't been many villains this season, which I'm not gonna speak too soon, because we know this franchise too well. That's probably not gonna stay the case.
I called Chris a villain last week. I just think he didn't know what the heck he was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't even deserve the villain title.
No, I know, and it was like a one-off.
I mean, I'm glad we don't need a villain. We don't need a villain.
Don't. We do not, because the whole Shanae thing last season was so just annoying. Like it was just so dumb and so annoying that dragged on for like 5 episodes that were like, why do we need that? And it's happened in the past too with other seasons that like I'm kind of glad that we don't have like a certain villain or a specific villain. But again, I might have been speaking too soon at this point, because we know this show that they might they might pick one. But
so I know, so Rachel has 8 guys and then Gabby is 9. So Rachel's were Zach, Avon, Tino, Logan, Tyler, Ethan, Jordan, and Hayden. And then Gabby was Eric, Nate, Johnny, Spencer, Jason, Mario, Kirk, Quincy, and Michael. Okay. The only one I'm concerned about flip-flopping, mostly because the previews show it, but I also kind of felt this way, is Logan.
Oh, yeah, me too. I could see that.
So, yeah, I mean, and look, it's I'm sure that some of them might flip-flop, but it's just really going to be about how they handle it, in my opinion. I think that's just the biggest thing. And then I think that's, like I said, I think they're better off with the guys that are all in. I feel like this makes sense for the most part. I mean, Logan is like kind of, I'm concerned about him flip-flopping, but hopefully he handles it decently well. And then like, I went back to my original list of the people that I predicted, and okay, so the guys I predicted for Rachel, the only one that's still there is Avon. But I'm like, okay, good. And the guys that I predicted for Gabby, the only one that I predicted that's still there for her, because I had Hayden, but Hayden is for Rachel now, is Eric. So I was right about that. And then the 5 guys that I said would be there, like for either one, I feel like they might be good, are still there. And it was Jason, Matt. Oh wait, did I lie? Maybe not. Matt is not there. Hello. I don't know who Matt is. Never mind. All right. See, I thought I went through this list appropriately. Sorry. Okay. 4 of them. All right. 4 out of the 5. Jason, Spencer, Tino, and Zach are still all there. Okay. So we're gonna cross off Matt now.
Yes.
On my text, I thought it said Michael, and that's why I got mixed up. It was late when I did this. Yeah, so that was really it. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of on target with that for the most part. But I think you were saying before we logged on the call that you had a new list.
Yes, I have a new list. And most of it's the same, but it is still a new list.
Yeah.
So for Gabby, I have Nate, Eric, Mario, Quincy, and Mario and Quincy. So those are the 4 I think that they're going to be the top 4 for Rachel or for Gabby. And for Rachel, I have Tino, Avon, Zach, and a toss-up between Tyler and Hayden. I have Tyler as like the top of that, but I have Hayden could be like a wild card too. But that's kind of my guess at this point for the top 4 for each.
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know. We'll
see. And it's gonna be crazy. I liked it. Cool. I thought it was cool how like each, like again, because like when they said, oh, our own journeys now, when they made the format change, I thought it was cool. Like after the rose ceremony, they all went, like you said, in the separate room, like did the cheers, because it made it feel kind of like a separate season for each. I thought it was cool. I like that better actually. Yeah. So I think that's a positive. So
it should hopefully be a little more smooth sailing moving on. And I do know they're supposed to go on a cruise ship, so the pun was intended. The only thing, the ending clip when Meatball comes back, I'm like, no, goodbye. Please leave. If he stays, I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna throw a meatball at the screen. Like, I just like, no. I'm just part of me is just like, who paid him to do this? Because it's so clear he's just trying to stay. Like, I don't.
not be surprised if he stays.
I'll
would
make a
not be
TikTok with
surprised
your pouring the tomato sauce all over you. It's fine. Whatever.
Yes, yes. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's really it. And I don't know. The previews are always what the heck, but I'm just kind of like,
crazy. They're always crazy, but it's exciting. They're going to go to
Yeah.
Paris next week, so that's exciting. I'm excited
Yes.
to have them start traveling next week.
yeah, we'll see with that. So I think that's, I don't know. Did you have any other Bachelorette things? Otherwise, maybe
Nope. I just said crazy promo, which as always, Paris next week, and I put that as exciting. And then meatball cliffhanger, which again is dumb, but like whatever. And yep, that's it for me. Yep.
Yeah.
We had a lot to talk about. I think we talked
Yeah.
a lot more about dance than we actually usually do. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about, but it made sense because we had the competition.
If you're still watching, thank you for joining.
Hey, please,
and hanging in there.
thank you so much. Thank you, because
Yes.
it's a long episode.
But yeah, and all right, I think you want to close us out with all of our reminders.
Yes. Actually, let me go over here because I want to make sure I remember them. So please, if you want to like and subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors, is the same as the handle here. That would be great. We have a lot of content posting for the from the competition that we want to post, because we took a lot of pictures and videos that we want to share. So be on the lookout for that. I think we're going to try to split it up between the two social media platforms. So maybe we'll have some on Instagram or some on YouTube and stuff like that. So be sure to look out for that. If you want to tell your friends, we're still wanting to grow our audience, so please tell your friends and people you know about our podcast for the support. That really means a lot. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yes.
Do you want to say anything else?
I think that's really it. And then I just feel like we were going to need to really keep a good tally of how many people we actually convinced to start watching
Oh my
Bachelor
gosh,
shows.
yes, exactly.
So I mean, we need confirmation that people have actually gone to watch them, that have said like, oh, you started convincing me to watch the show. But yeah, we're gonna see. And then I think, Matthew and I spoke, we're gonna try to see if, periodically we'll try to film things like live together, and then split it up between that and Zoom. And then periodically just bring on some guests. We really want to make sure we had Justin, since we saw him in person last week at the competition. And then we'll see. So yeah, and if any of our friends that are watching this right now, you do want to be a guest on the episode,
please let us know.
Okay, because Justin wanted to be on it, and that's why he got on it. So
yes,
it's up to you. All right, and I think that
it's all in your hands now.
All right,
awesome.
well,
thank you very much for watching, everybody.
All right, and talk to you all soon.
We'll talk to you all later. See you.
Bye.
Bye.